Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Rajnikant Pandey from Central University of Jharkhand, which is located in Ranchi. Today we are going to discuss about module Globalization Theory, which is under paper Theories and Methods in Social Cultural Anthropology. So student, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. Firstly, we are trying to understand the theoretical perspective on globalization. We will use globalization as theoretical construct which shapes the human social cultural life. We will also differentiate between globalization as idea and as a practice. We can assess the impact of globalization theories on ethnographic research. We will also be able to investigate the role of anthropologists in understanding the globalization as a process. We will investigate further the role of anthropologists in understanding globalization as idea, as concept. Then we can move on defining the globalization for anthropological purpose and what are the challenges in the use of notion of globalization in understanding local ethnographic realities. Now we can think of globalization and its use in the anthropological research. We will start with globalization, and in introductory terms we can think of globalization which has emerged as a buzzword today. The globalization is creating a kind of extraordinary interest and concern among the academicians. Not only academicians, but also media and general public are interested in globalization today. We see lot of times the newspapers are flooded with this term globalization. So why there is so much interest in globalization today? The origin of globalization discourse is basically new to us. Before 80s, there was no term like globalization, but after 80s, it emerged and it spread across the globe. Everyone was talking about the global village and the globalization. When we use this term globalization for anthropological purpose, we can think of globalization in two particular ways. One is the idea of globalization itself, which we conceive in terms of the socio-cultural changes it brings, and then the idea of globalization theory. For our classroom discussions, we need to differentiate between the idea of globalization as a concept and idea of globalization as theory. As a concept, globalization basically talks about the socio-cultural changes it brings, the rapid changes which it has brought in economic sphere, political sphere, and as a continuation in socio-cultural living of the and life reality of the people. Then as a theory, we try to grasp that how to conceive this phenomena in abstract term, in metaphysical term, how we can create a model so that we can grasp the process of globalization impacting the lived realities of human beings today. Then we can connect these two phenomena together, the globalization of concept and globalization theory, for the total understanding of the impact of globalization on the human realities. During 1990s, the term globalization gained utmost prominence, and there were hardly any social science talk and text without mention of globalization. Anthropologists were also influenced by this dramatic upsurge of globalization as idea and practices in academic world. The anthropologists started to engage with globalization in two particular ways. The first was to understand globalization as process and its impact on socio-cultural life. Understanding globalization as an idea and its theoretical implication was second objective. Several books and journals started to appear in mainstream anthropology to capture the nuances of globalization. For example, Mike Featherstone edited a significant book titled Global Culture in 1990s. This book set the agenda for globalization studies in anthropology. The most prominent work which followed were like Ulf Henrich's Cultural Complexity, which came in 1992, Jonathan Friedman's Global Identity and Cultural Processes, and Arjun Appadurai's Modernity at Large. These were the early contributions which presented theoretical insight for several further inquiries of globalization. If we look at the definitions of globalization, a very prominent American anthropologist and sociologist, George Ridger, wrote very interesting book with title Globalization, and he is a kind of authority on theories of globalization. He defines globalization as a transplanetary process or set of processes involving increasing liquidity and the growing multi-directional flows of people, objects, places, and information, as well as the structure they encounter and the barriers they create or expedite these flows. If you look at the anthropological definition, Tate C. Levine, in his book The Anthropology of Globalization, defines globalization as contemporary globalization as the increasing flow of trade, finance, culture, ideas, people brought about by the sophisticated technology of communication and travel and by the worldwide spread of neoliberal capitalism. And it is the local and regional adaptation to and resistance against these flows. So what we look that in both these definition, one given by sociologist and another given by an anthropologist, there are similarities, and they prioritize the flow and connections of different kind, and at the same time barriers and resistance which exist at global scale to counter these flows. The latter aspect has been emphasized by anthropologists to understand globalization as a process leading towards disconnection, dispossession, exclusion, and marginalization for many indigenous communities in the world. Now we can also talk about the idea of flow which has been emphasized by these two anthropologists like Levine and Ridger. They have talked about the flow of people, trade, finance, culture, and objects across the transnational boundaries. So, with this, we can understand the definition of globalization in context of flows and the barriers created to stop these flows as well. Now we will talk about three things. One, whether globalization is old or new process. Secondly, if globalization is new, what are its related process and precursors? And thirdly, how globalization appears today. So when we look at the idea of globalization is whether old or new, it has been a very contested issue in theorizing globalization. The people who think that globalization is new emphasize the pace and nature of global connection which exists today and which is unprecedented. This has never been seen in the human past. The supporters of old globalization provide evidences of global network of trade, commerce, pilgrimage, and migration in at least 5,000-year human history. Some even suggest that first human being walking out of Africa was first step towards globalization. The historical evidences also suggest that human beings have maintained a strong network of places and people in the past as well, and which have only intensified in the present time. So when we look at the globalization as a new event, we can think of some of the recent incidences in the world history, and that gives us the related process of globalization. Many suggest that globalization can be thought of as outcome of colonization, imperialism, development, and subsequent westernization and Americanization of world. These processes can be taken as the related process of globalization. They have brought several changes in the world society and culture, and which has culminated into the form of global network of people and places. Now when we look at the globalization in today's context, what we see that the global network have increased, people are more connected because of the technology, and there is global flow of ideas, social and cultural aspect throughout the world. Now we will talk about theories of globalization. The globalization studies have emphasized the importance of role of free market and transnational capitalism in global change. However, there are clear depictions of legal, political, social and cultural aspects of human life being influenced by global economic flows. There is prominence of theories which give significance to techno-economic understanding of globalization. And other aspect of globalization as extension of economic sphere has been taken as important dimension of theories of globalization. But for the purpose of our understanding, we are going to follow George Richter. George Richter, in his textbook Globalization, the basic text, have discussed the theories of globalization in following headings. Like, firstly, he talks about economic globalization, then he differentiated from political globalization, and then he emphasized the role of cultural globalization, which covers the socio-cultural dimension. What we see that there is a continuous overlap between these three different kind of globalization: economic, political and cultural. But for the purpose of classroom understanding, it is required to understand it separately as well. Then it will give the clear idea of what globalization is all about and how we can theorize for the future understanding of globalization and its impact on human realities. So let's start one by one and talk about these different kind of globalizations. First is economic globalization, which talks about the global changes which have occurred in trade, finance, market, and how it has influenced the total human existence. Then we can also talk about the democratization of the world in context of political sphere. Then we can move on to the cultural globalization, which is necessarily very important aspect of anthropological understanding of global changes. So we in coming slides will talk about these different kind of theories one by one. Economic theories of globalization are neoliberal and neo-Marxian in its approach. If we talk about neoliberal theories, they emerged in 1930s to put forth the idea of free operation of market, opposition to state intervention and individual liberty shaped the process of economic globalization and thinking about it. Milton Friedman and set of Chicago economists are major pioneers who gave neoliberalism an ideological face. William Sterling and others favor the free market and market fundamentalism as basic virtue of economic success. There is a strong faith in global connection and global expansion of capitalistic system and its inherent virtue to trickle down to all the participants. Deregulation, privatization, and free trade are basic necessity of this neoliberal capitalism. Spending on welfare by state should be curbed and limiting government intervention is required for global outreach of capital. This has been the prominent approach in the understanding of economic globalization. Next, we can talk about the neo-Marxian theories. For example, Leslie Sklair, who talks about the two kinds of globalization. One is the capitalist globalization and another is the socialist globalization. The spread of transnational capitalism is an important factor behind capitalist globalization. In capitalist globalization, transnational capitalist class made up of four different set of capitalists. However, in the socialist globalization, there is a resistance towards these kind of capitalist globalization. So he talk about both kind of neo-Marxian understanding. One is the capitalist and second is the socialist form of globalization. Another very important theoretical approach which developed in the neo-Marxian understanding was by Hart and Negri. Michael Hart and Antonio Negri, in their two important work, Empire and Multitude, have used the metaphor of empire to present a postmodern Marxian understanding of globalized economy. So the thinkers from different fields like Giddens, a sociologist, Harvey, a geographer, have also emphasized the compression of time and space as important factor behind economic globalization. Rapid communication and transportation have compressed the space and structured it into a single global time. And another important thinker called Manuel Castells have proposed the idea of network society which characterizes the present day global economic order. The multi-centered network of capital, information and power rule the world through the help of highly mobile managerial elites who are the dominant actors in these flows. Now we will talk about political globalization. Political scientists and sociologists have given attention to the global play of power by new agencies in the present economic world. The discipline called international relations has emerged as a specialist set of knowledge to study these developments. The scholars are discussing the decreasing significance of nation-state and national identity. Denationalization is dominant theme in most of the theories of political globalization across the discipline. David Held, a British sociologist, theorized the global challenges to nation-state and national sovereignty as mainstay of globalization. He believes that political decision-making, international legal frameworks for rights and duties, and cultural contexts are responsible for weakening of the nation-state. The role of United States and civil society organizations in promoting universal declaration on several political agenda is posing threat to the role of nation-state. However, several nation-states have maintained sovereignty in relation to human mobility and finances. It's very difficult to get visa to go United States, but for in many cases Americans can easily travel across the world. Then there is Ulrich Beck, who differentiates between globalism and globality to discuss the political globalization. The globalism model prioritizes the economic flow and reduces everything else as subsidiary of it. Instead, he advocates for globality, which gives equal importance to ecology, culture, civil society, and politics in theorization of globalization. Beck believes that globality is making nation-state illusory and it is important in the foundation of global democracy. Now we will talk about theories of cultural globalization. The cultural globalization theorizes the issues of flows of culture and how it impacts the human life in the world today. Jean Nederveen Peets has identified three major paradigms in theorizing the cultural aspects of globalization. He develops his model specifically on the centrally important issues of whether cultures around the globe are different, they are converging, or creating new hybrid forms out of the unique combination of global and local culture. This model has been developed and discussed by George Ridger in his textbook Globalization, the Basic Text, to look at the cultural globalization. The model has a potential implication for economic and political globalization as well. So, following these two authors, we can theorize three different kind of cultural globalization processes. First is cultural differentialism, second is cultural convergence, and third is cultural hybridization. Now we will talk about these three different processes one by one. Cultural differentialism. This mode of thinking emphasizes the stubborn nature of culture and its retaining capacity to differences. This also tends to focus upon the core of the culture which remains unaffected by the process of globalization, though surface structure may change and the look may vary. This is happening because of the global connectedness. The most famous example of this theory is clash of civilization, as you can see in this map. The thesis provided by Samuel P. Huntington. Huntington uses the word civilization to describe the coherent cultural identities which exist in the world today. He has identified 8 such cultures in the world today. We can talk about the Western Christian civilization, Muslim civilization, Sub-Saharan civilization, Cynic civilization, Japanese civilization, etc. He proposes a historical argument to predict the clash of these different civilizations because of their stubborn cultural identities. Huntington is very much concerned about the decline of the West and especially of the United States. He believes if United States is stronger, and he casts doubt about the increasing multi-civilization or multicultural character of United States. For him, the demise of the United States effectively means the demise of Western civilization. He believes that if United States is not powerful, then it may lead to the clash of the civilization, and it is better if United States maintain its identity as a Western powerful nation and it keeps dominating over the world. It also emphasizes the leadership of Western civilization around the globe. The reassertion and acceptance of Western civilization through US hegemony is the only way to prevent the clashes of different civilizations. Now we'll talk about idea of cultural convergence. Cultural convergence focuses upon the systematic homogenization and similarities of cultures across the globe. There is increasing sameness in the cultures in the world today because of the local cultural assimilation in dominant cultures. These similarities in culture is leading towards prominent changes in local cultures. However, local realities are surviving in one way or other. There are several processes like cultural imperialism, world culture, McDonaldization, and globalization of nothing identified by George Ridger in relation to cultural convergence. Cultural imperialism. This is an idea which reflects upon the influence of dominant cultures on local cultures, which is being imposed consciously or unconsciously. This may result in complete transformation of local cultures or in most of the cases partial changes in one or other dimensions of cultures. The cultural hegemony of North countries on South is clearly visible today, and many local cultures are threatened or being destroyed because of these cultural imperialism. This view also talks about the formulation of new global culture replacing all local cultural deficiencies. The related idea of deterritorialization and the decreasing significance of places or geography is also part of these cultural imperialistic tendencies. Then we can discuss the idea of McDonaldization proposed by sociologist George Richter. He clearly outlines the principles which govern the McDonald's fast food restaurant's successful functioning. These principles are efficiency, calculability, predictability, control, and ironically, the irrationality of rationality. He believes that these principles of McDonald have taken over not only on new ways which we eat fast food and the industry is organized, but also the various sector of life like education, NGOs, church, etc. Then he also proposed the idea of globalization of nothing, which is another important way of looking at cultural convergence. Ridger talks about the increasing similarities of different kind of experiences which human beings are having today in the every part of the world. These similarities leads to the existence of a kind of experience which he called nothing, that is being without content. He believes that the imperialistic tendencies of powerful nations, corporations, and international organizations and their desire motivated by economic growth and profits to impose themselves throughout the world is responsible for the increasing nothingness. He calls this growth motivated globalization as globalization. Cultural hybridization. It is about production of new and unique hybrids because of the mixing of cultures. In this sense, globalization is creative process leading to new cultural realities. Rolla Robertson has coined the term globalization to refer to the process of interpretation of global and local resulting into new outcomes in different geographical locations. Hybridization itself is a term which refers to making of cultural hybrids with mixed traits. There are other terms like creolization which refers to the mixing of languages and cultures into unique acceptable forms. Arjun Appadurai, in his Modernity at Large, the cultural dimension of globalization, proposed the idea of global flow and disjuncture within it. His contribution is central to the anthropological understanding of globalization. He elaborates his understanding of global flows against five escapes of globalization: ethno-escape, techno-escape, finance-escape, media-escapes, and ideo-escapes. These multiple escapes are disjunctive and they are flowing in different directions and at a very different speed. The way we experience these flows are fragmented, and it also leads to the creation of different hybrid forms across the cultures. The anthropologist used the idea of globalization and its theories to understand the changing landscape of locations in which they conduct fieldwork. The anthropologists who were traditionally focusing on bounded local communities unaffected by outside influences were challenged by globalization thinkers to look for the outside influences, including their own, on the ethnographic practices. The theoretical tools were designed and borrowed to inform the new realities of local in a global world. The globalization itself has provided opportunities for anthropologists to have easy and frequent access to the field. Availability of writings of native anthropologists can build a tradition of multi-local understanding of the field situation. At the same time, some anthropologists have taken this opportunity to celebrate the local and challenge the global onslaught on culture and tradition of remote people. The barriers across regions have not necessarily been erased, and some anthropologists have carved new ethnographic regions, for instance, South Asia, to represent the people living in a landmass. However, the globalization approach in anthropology is not altogether new. The early thinkers of political economy and world system approach were emphasizing the impact of dominant core on recessive periphery. Ande Gunder Frank and historian Emmanuel Wallerstein set the agenda for understanding the underdeveloped economy crumbling under the developed West. The Eric Wolfs and Peter Worsley followed the trend in anthropology and criticized the global capitalism and its impact on local people. These theories are looking at unidirectional flow, whereas globalization is about the multidirectional influences, at least in principle. If we talk about the anthropologists who were prominent in the globalization theories, we just mentioned Arjun Appadurai. The other name is Jonathan Friedman, who has coined his neologism global systemic approaches to address the global in anthropology. He distinguishes his approach from globalization theories in anthropology. In his approach, the global and local are at same plane, and there is no higher global place floating above the local. Though local is always part of global, but it does not mean that local is produced by global. The global is arena of interaction among the global systemic is the study of logic of such interactions and the process that emerge from interactions. For him, the globalization theory is empiricist and looks at apparent surface phenomena of flow, movement, media, and networks, instead of the underlying structure which makes this phenomena apparent. Global systemic approach calls for a transdisciplinary study of these underlying structures of social reproduction and history of human species. Now let us summarize what we studied in this module. We started with a definitional aspect of globalization, how Ritzer and other anthropologists have defined globalization in terms of flows and the barriers which has been created to stop these flows. So we have to understand both the flow of globalization and how different barriers are also being created to stop these flows. Then we talked about different kind of theoretical ideas which have emerged over the time to conceive the process of globalization and the changes it is bringing in the human realities. Firstly, we talked about economic globalizations and we understood it in terms of neo-Marxian theory, we understood it in terms of neoliberal theories. Then we also talked about political globalization, which is a kind of process which leading towards denationalizations. We are living in a global world today. There are organizations like United Nations which are making us a global connected world. Several ideas like human rights and several laws which are coming out to make us a single and realize us our living as a single democracy. Then we emphasize largely upon the process of cultural globalization. We know now that there are three kinds of cultural globalization process which has been theorized by several scholars. First is cultural differentialism, then we talked about cultural convergences, and we also discussed cultural hybridization. In differentialism, we discussed how still there are differences and several kind of identities, differing identities are being created in the global world today, which may lead to even, according to Huntington, the clash of civilizations. Then we talked about convergences, how different cultures are coming together and a homogenization process is existing in the understanding of global realities, global social cultural life. Then we moved on hybridization process, how new forms are coming up, how different global uh, situations are creating hybrids. What are these hybrids? How they are changing our life experiences? What are new forms which are mix of two different identities, two different forms are influencing our cultural life? So we talked about these three processes of cultural globalization and we tried to theorize this in understanding of globalization. Then we also tried to understand what are the anthropological contribution to globalization, how different anthropologists are taking the idea of globalization for fieldwork situation, how the fieldwork situation itself have moved from local to global, and what are the important role of globalization theories in creating fieldwork understanding of social and cultural realities. So this is the important way which we can look at the globalization theories, and there are ample contribution which globalization theories can make to the ethnographic reality of society and culture in the world today.